Hello, everyone. Justin Vasquez here again for Training Tuesdays. Thank you all for showing up and being a part of the class. We're going to talk about some wood doors, and hopefully by the end of it, you have a better understanding of wood doors, what they do, how they can help you in the marketplace, and some of the cool things that Haley Brothers can offer you guys moving forward. So let's get started with the training. So Haley Brothers is a company located in California. They've been around for quite a while, and they have a commitment to manufacturing high quality architectural, residential, high pressure decorative laminate doors. But they also do wood frames, they do windows, they do a lot of custom work that not a lot of people know about. And it's because they have an association with a sister company called TM Cobb. TM Cobb is the owner of Haley Brothers, and those guys do a lot of the custom work that Haley Brothers doesn't do. Haley Brothers is more of your commercial wood doors, your architectural wood doors, your residential wood doors, and then your medium duty or commodity style wood doors. So today we'll talk about, let me move this over for a little bit. Today we'll talk about the anatomy of a tree and understanding different types of veneers. We'll talk about Haley, their architectural line, and then we'll talk about Haley's residential line. And so moving forward, I don't know if you guys use the architectural primarily or the residential primarily, but we'll hit on both. And if you have any questions, just let me know and I can help out however I can. And if I can't answer the question on the call, then afterwards I will definitely send you some information. So first we'll talk about the anatomy of a tree. And as you know, trees are pretty similar in their build. They all have sapwood. They all have heartwood, which is the interior of the tree or the inactive portion of the tree. They have the pith or the center of the tree. And then they have medullary rays. Medullary rays are what happens whenever the tree grows out. It provides the nutrients for the tree and things like that, but it causes something known as flitch in a tree, and they range anywhere from 1 inch to up to 4 inches in length. And it is a reflective portion of the tree, kind of makes your veneer shine whenever you have a cut of red oak or maple. And then we have the bark. You know, for living finishes such as mantles and things like that are primarily the only place that you're going to see the bark of the tree being used in wood doors. And then lastly, the cambium layer. So the veneer cuts of trees, we have rotary cut. Rotary cut is the highest veneer yield out of all of the different trees. It's very open grained, and rotary cut can be offered in numerous different veneers, but commercially it's primarily used with birch. Birch is, has been associated with a lot of lower end and things like that, but birch is a really beautiful veneer if used properly. Then we have plain sliced. Plain sliced is what you would see in maple and mahogany and also red oak. It's the most common cut out of all the different veneers. It forms aesthetically pleasing cathedrals at the top. So if you don't know what that is, it basically forms a teepee at the top of the doors, and it makes your door look like it's growing. Has very good yield. It doesn't yield as much as rotary cut, but it has very good yield. And there's always the possibility of barber poling. We'll get more into barber poling as we move forward throughout the slides. But barber poling basically is when you have a book cut or book matching veneer, and they slice that right in the middle and they open it up just like a book. And on one side, the veneer reflects the shadow of the tree, and on the other side, it reflects the brightness or the lightness of the tree. So the mirror basically makes it look light and then dark right next to each other. You'll have quarter sliced. Quarter slice is very straight grained, very low yield because it has to be quartered, and then they have to make it all exact whenever you have running match or book match. And it also produces flake in the oak, which they take that medullary ray and they call it flake. So what happens is once that veneer is cut and placed on a door and it's stained and finished, you'll have a very shiny portion of the door, and it can range in either 1 inch or it can range in 4 inches. And some people call it different things like tiger eye. I don't know if you've heard something like that, but that's kind of what one of the common terms is in the industry. And then you have rift cut. Rift cut can only be used in red and white oak, but it's a straight grain cut without the flake. So they take the portion, and we'll see this here in a second. So they take the portion where the medullary ray is, and they'll cut it along that line, so that way it removes that flake. It's cut on a half-round machine in lieu of a slicing machine. So here's examples of that flake. If you look at the areas where I pointed to, you see very small, slight changes or variations in that wood. And it's kind of like a little stripe. But what happens is once that is stained and finished, it shows bright and creates a situation where some people like it, some people don't. So here's the way that they do that rift cutting. So you have the pivot point set on your saw, and then you have your flitch pieces. You have your medullary rays, and you can see how those medullary rays are positioned in a way to where they are, I guess, against the stationary knife. And whenever they cut that, you see that they cut it in a way that's cutting those medullary rays in a very small and tight pattern. So this is an example of rift cut. And as you can see, it is a very pleasing look. It's very straight, it's very uniform, and it yields a very beautiful stain once it's done. Now with rift cut, you have extremely low yield because of the way they have to cut it. So you have high waste and things like that. So unlike rotary cut, where they're taking the entire piece of veneer and just spinning that wood and cutting the veneer off in sheets, or like plain slice, where you take the log and you just cut it straight across. You have to quarter this, and then you have to half round cut the wood in order to make that rift cut. So once you have your veneer cut and things like that, you need to match that veneer. Different types of matching will include book match, which is the most common type of matching. Like I said earlier, you take a piece of veneer and you basically open it up and you have a book. You'll find that primarily in rotary cuts and in plain slicing. You'll have slip match, where you take a plain sliced piece, and at, I think it's in between 8 to 10 inches, you'll slip in. And so it's this exact same cut of veneer, and you just put it side by side, one after the other. You'll have random matching. So slip match and random match, while they'll look pretty similar as far as how they're presented on the door, whenever you have a slip match, you have a very common or the same slice of veneer slipped over and over and over again. So it kind of looks not, I guess, unordinary. But with random matching, they just will take slips of random veneer and place them on the door. So it kind of looks very unique, I would say. And then you have running match. Running match, if you had rift cut red oak. Let's say, for example, running match would line those up right along the side of each other, and it would look like the same run of veneer slipped right next to each other, and it's very pleasing. And then you'll have balance match. Balance match is they're going to take the door, and at the center of the door, they will balance out the veneer to where it looks similar across the door. Center balance match, exact same thing. Really, where you have the door centered, and then you have the veneer open up against it. And then pair match is all of these included, but on a pair of doors. Once they're lined up, they look exactly the same moving across the door. Set match. So if you have a run of 10 doors in a hallway, set match would match all of those doors to look exactly the same. Continuous match transom. So if you have a door with a transom at the top, instead of having the transom have different style of veneer or different portions of veneer, they will match the veneer moving up the door. So if you have book and balance match or slip match, that veneer will run up the door and it'll look exactly the same whenever the door is closed. And then end matching. End matching, honestly, is very similar to a continuous match or transom match, except it's at the very end of the door. It's matched all the way around. So let's look at some causes of barber pole. As you can see here, it's talking about split sails whenever the door is cut in the middle, and it shows you that split sails reflect light on one side and shadows on the opposite side. So this photo represents individual cells that are book matched, and what they do is they'll cut that veneer, they'll split it right in half, and then once it's opened up, as you can see, the way that it's reflecting light, one side reflects light as a shadow, and the other will reflect light, not like a shadow, I guess I would say. So some common veneer characteristics that we'll go through. This is one of the most common looks that you'll see in rotary natural birch, where you have either a wormhole or a worm crawling through the door, or a vine that is on the door. This right here is representing vine marks. And as far as grade A or grade AA veneers, grade A, this is pretty common. You'll see this. This will be about a 16th to an 1/8 inch long, and it gives the veneer some characteristic, a unique characteristic. Another that you'll see is wormholes. As you can see here, you have wormholes that have been filled in, and you also have some pin knots around those wormholes. But what happens as a tree grows, a tree is a living product, and as it's cut and it's put into your building, it remains a living product. So those characteristics cannot be changed as far as veneer is concerned. You'll always have wormholes or pinholes or vine marks, and it's just something that in the industry can be a very pleasing look, to be honest. So here, this is a piece of plain sliced red oak, and a really cool thing that this little photo represents, if you look to the bottom right, you can see the cathedrals, but unlike matching those piece of wood up to present that cathedral, you see it in the wood itself. So as you move forward with understanding wood doors, you see that wood door manufacturers or even cabinet makers or anyone that looks at wood grows up toward the sky. And so the rings on wood door, they represent the exact same thing. As a tree ages and grows up, you'll start to see those lines. And whenever they place those lines on a door, they grow up to the sky, and you get to see the representation of that wood in the veneer itself. But pinholes, if you look at the very top right, you'll see a very small pinhole at the veneer, and it's very common, and it gives the wood a characteristic that is, I guess, different than laminate doors and things like that. So let's look at some of the Haley architectural products. This you'll find in your catalogs if we've provided you some. If not, let me know and I can get you some catalogs so that way you can better understand what we're talking about here. So the APC1 is going to be your light duty or light commercial grade wood door. The maximum size of that door that Haley offers is 4.0 by 8.0, and the minimum size is 1.6 by 5 foot. Now, they do this because, I mean, if you think about wood doors and how they're built and that sort of thing, you have to think about what their press can handle and also the sizes of veneer that are available for those doors. The core for this, the APC1, is particle board core, and that's LD-2, and it meets ANSI 208-1 or .1. And so instead of going through all the jargon that's in this, you can read this in your catalog. Let's talk about where it can be used. Light duty doors or light commercial doors can be used primarily on your smaller projects, such as office buildings, 1 to 5 openings, your stock wood doors where you have a customer that's buying 1 or 2 doors at a time. This is where you're primarily going to see the light commercial wood door. It's listed as a 5-ply particle board door, and but I still believe that this is a thinner skin than their heavier duty particle board core. But unlike other manufacturers where you see the 7-ply door and 9-ply door even sometimes, these guys are only doing the 5-ply door. So they're only going to try to meet that minimum of a quality commercial door. The APC2 is another 5-ply particle board door. This door is offered in FSC, which is your COC, your chain of custody type door. It is available in that option. This is also still a lighter duty door, and this is going to be used in offices and military establishments, hospitals, schools. But I would suggest on these doors to use these more in areas where you have lower traffic and that sort of thing. They do the bond core with this one, and they also do it with the APC1. I should have mentioned that. But basically, the bond core is where you take your rails and your stiles at the very top of the door and on the sides, and they actually bond that to the particle core, giving it more of a secure fit or a tighter fit as far as bonding agent when thinking about the strength of that door when holding up to hinges and that sort of thing. The APC3, if you look at this one, it's offered in different sizes. It's 4 foot by 10 foot, but the APC3 is going to be your grade A hardwood, high quality door. It's going to be the thicker veneer. It's going to be a quality 5-ply door. This is offered in hardwood. It's offered in FSC. It's offered in that chain of custody that we were talking about with the APC2. But this is going to be more of your heavy duty door. And I have a sample of this, and I'm going to switch over to video while we're doing this, just so you guys can see what it looks like. I was going to wait until the very end of the slides, but we probably need to see what it looks like. So this right here is going to be representative of the APC3, and this is going to be a cross-section cut, so that way you can see what it looks like. So unlike what the photo represents to you, as you can see right here, you have your particle board core. You have the bond right here where they bond this or glue this to the hardwood on both the stile and on the rail. But if you look right here at the veneer pieces, and I don't even know if you can see that very well, but I'm going to try to get in as close as I can. But if you look at the veneer itself, where you have the MDF ply and then you have the veneer ply, the veneer itself, I believe, it looks like it's about a 32nd of an inch thick, and it gives a much higher quality, a much better quality than you would see in the APC2 and the APC1. And I know that I represent all three of those lines, and there's a place for all three of those lines. But if you're looking for high quality architectural product, the APC3 is going to be where you want to go. And this right here is representing a plain sliced red oak sample. And oh, here we go. And you can even see it better looking at it this way, where you see the particle core, you see the MDO crossband, and then you see the veneer itself. And so we're going to see that on both sides, and that's where they get the plies from. I guess I should mention that earlier, where you have the core as your first ply, and then you have your MDO is going to be ply 1 and ply 2, so 1, 2, 3, and then your veneer is your last one, where it is 4 and 5. The APC3 and I believe the APC2 are going to have matching styles, and matching styles are going to be the same veneer or the same species as the face veneer. So this is a plain sliced red oak door. This is a plain sliced red oak style. They offer this up to 1 3/8 inches, and I believe they could even do a little bit more if requested. I know that there's a place in Denver where they require 1 5/8 inches as far as the style is concerned. That's Denver Public Schools. And so where you have a situation like that, wood door manufacturers such as Haley can give something that other manufacturers cannot give, and that is they can be able to put in that style in there that meets or exceeds that expectation from that specification in order to help you sell that project. So I'm going to switch back, take the video off so that way we can move forward. So these guys also have the drop-in core. The drop-in core, while it's bonded to the face veneer, the sides and the top, they're not bonded to the core. So where you have the drop-in core, you're only going to have, you're only going to have that real security at the face of the doors, and the bond is not going to be on the particle core itself. I would say that as far as where to use these, I would probably put these in closets and also in and low use areas, lighter weight areas where you're not going to have that demand of opening and closing that door all the time. This is offered in the FSC certified, and also urea free, formaldehyde free option as well. But something that's interesting on this one is wire chase is not available at this core here. So with the going down the line of the particle core doors, you have to look at your hollow core doors as well. I don't have a sample of a hollow core door, but basically you're going to be honeycomb on the interior of that door. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be glued all the way around. We saw them make this in the factory whenever we were on a visit with these guys. But basically they will throw a roll of glue out, put in the honeycomb core, and then put the stiles and the rails and any lock blocks or closer blocks that are required for the opening, depending on what your hardware options are. And then they'll put the face veneer on top of the door, put it on the press, and be done with it. Your hollow core doors, you can use these in very light duty office spaces. They can be used in residential areas and that sort of thing where you have flush doors. But these are not going to be, an entry door or anything like that. So something that I should have mentioned at the APC1 that is very important. The APC3, the APC2, the drop-in core, and also the hollow core door are offered in birch, red oak, Legatex, raw, or prime, so unfinished or even prime finished. But the APC1 is only offered in natural birch and plain sliced red oak. That's very important. Whenever you're thinking of your light duty doors, you can only get it in birch or oak. As a lot of you guys know, depending on the type of birch that you get, you can weave through those doors and find a veneer that's similar to maple, but it's not maple, it's birch. But these are light duty doors. These are going to be your thin skinned. These are going to be your lower end doors. So they're only going to use the most common veneers for that line. For this line here, the APC1, the APC2, the 3, the drop-in core, and the hollow core doors, however, they can be used with all veneers or most veneers. The hollow core door is also offered in the Legatex. Legatex is basically the MDO with a grain look, and I believe there's 2 finishes in the Legatex that are out there with Haley. And then lastly, the AFD 90. This is your 90-minute or 90, 60, 45-minute door. And I only put in the AFD 90 because, I mean, guys, let's face it, 45, 60, and 90-minute doors are pretty much all constructed the same. And I didn't want to go through 30 minutes just on mineral core doors. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So here's the cross section of the mineral core door. And as you can see, we have the mineral here, but then we have the engineer core right here, which is a harder mineral or mineral core. And this is going to give you your the air seal, the intumescence, and all that stuff in your fire rated wood door. But it's still basically fabricated the exact same way that your particle board core is. And what I mean by that is you have your you have your, and let's look at, yeah, that's fine. Let's look at the, you have your core, then you have your MDO on both sides, and then you have your veneer at the very top and at the very bottom. This will allow you to have an opening that, or in a 3-hour wall, or a 2-hour wall, or 1-hour wall, be able to allow you to be able to provide that opening with a wood door. So let's go look at some residential doors that Haley has. I have a sample of, I believe it's going to be a sample of Cayman that I'm going to show you. But the residential line, they're all pretty much built the same, but we have different skins to offer. Here are the different skins. There are 15 of them. These are the most common skins that you'll find from Haley and from anywhere else, to be honest. And let's take a look at what this looks like on the inside. So with your residential style doors from Haley, you're going to have particle core, and then you're going to have the skin itself, the molded skin, the molded panel skin. And that just basically, after they take the particle core, they drop the skin on, press the skin, and it's the exact same setup that you'll find in the architectural line, except for this fact right here. Where you have the MDO, there's no veneer layer. So this is only 3, 1, 2, 3, no 5, because there's no veneer layer here. These are available in prime finish. Sorry, guys. I wanted to look up one other thing before moving on. So look at the catalog that we provide you guys. I'm going to show you something else real quick before moving on, because I think it's important. And it's this right here. You got to look at the sizing options when looking at the residential, and I don't know why I keep saying residential. It's multifamily, apartment complexes, and assisted living facilities, things like that. But take a look at this. Different styles of, or different skins offer different sizes. Just like look here at the Conmore, the 6'8". In the width, they don't have a 1'3" or 1'4". They go from 1'6" to 3'0", and then at the bifolds is even different. But if you go to something that's more common, like the Carrera, they offer full availability all the way across the board. So it's very important to look at your sizing options. It's very important to look at the capabilities that these guys have, and that's why these catalogs are extremely important. And I highly suggest looking at those when specifying or scheduling out your wood doors. And sorry for being so up close and personal with you guys. I have my laptop set up on a table, and it's close to the webcam, so sorry. But anyway, something else that Haley has to offer as far as the multifamily line is going to be your interior knockdown jam unit. So where you typically see in our marketplace the pre-hung units, Haley doesn't offer that in the mountain areas. They do, but the freight is just killer. But they offer something that's really unique, and it's really taken hold here in the area, and we've seen this a lot in multifamily and also in some small office spaces. But basically, the interior knockdown jamb unit, if you look at the side profile, you see a standard multifamily pre-fit jamb. It's made out of MDO or finger joint material. It has a stop on it that's surface applied, and then it has different casing. I'll show you some of the different casing that's used here in a second, but the cool thing is these are provided at a 45-degree cut at the legs and at the head, and it makes installation very easy on your, at your building. Instead of having to leave a whole side of the building open and use a lift to run 10 doors in at a time, you can now take a pallet or a whole floor of doors and run them in all at once. And it makes installation, as far as floors are concerned, very easy. They're very easy to transport. They're easy to install. They're easy to deal with. So it's very important to take note of these. And I wanted to show you what they look like, and I'll show you right now. So this is the basic, and mind you, I have a very small door that's going in here, but basically take a look at the jamb piece. This is in primed. They also offer this in finger joint, or and this, I think this is finger jointed prime. They also offer this in MDO. It looks just like a knockdown frame, but you take that, you set this, you square this up, you set it in your jamb just like you would a knockdown jamb or hollow metal jamb. And then you put on your headpiece, and instead of having having to fight with one side of, or one pre-hung unit and then shim it up and lock it down to the opening, you can now make your 45s tight, nice, beautiful. And I mean, it really is as easy as that to lock these in, install them, put them in, and then move on. Another cool thing, instead of having to case the door afterwards or case the frame afterwards, the casing's already here. So it makes the situation for an installer very easy in regards to how it's installed, how it's put in place, and how it's used in a building. Do you guys have any questions on that, by the way? Okay. So here's some of the casing patterns that they stock. These are the most common casings that you're going to find as far as commercial work or residential work is concerned. They're all offered in finger joint pine or MDO. Or I guess these are all offered in finger joint pine, excuse me. So after looking at all that, after doing all the hard work and trying to figure out what your architect wants and what they need for their building, once it gets to that point, you got to ask for a quote. Haley has done a pretty good job of making an online form for requesting a quotation. It's easy to fill this out. You can send me a takeoff and I'll fill it out, but it's very easy to put in for a quotation with these guys. Once that is accomplished, you need to order the job and say you wanted to be able to match the hollow metal manufacturer's locations that they're using, or say that you wanted to be able to just use the doors instead of using the frames. Also, these guys are fully customizable. They can go with as many hinges as you need. They can go with the least amount of hinges that you need. They can go with any manufacturer's preps, but they need to know what it is. So here's a machining form for hardware. It's pretty similar to some other manufacturers that you see in the marketplace. But one good thing about Haley that I would say is these guys aren't limited to what you see in normal commercial. Because they have a sister company right next door to them. They can fully customize anything that you need. All you have to do is ask. So once you fill this hardware machine sheet out, we'll send it over to Haley Brothers themselves. And if they have any questions, they'll give you a call, they'll send you an email, they'll send me an email, and we'll get it ironed out. And they're usually pretty fast about it. So with that, I am pretty much done. We have some resources for you. We have, my contact information here if you need it. We have website resources for you that I can share with you, which is their Haley Brothers website. We also have, I put in the customer service contact information, which is Marcia in our area, Marcia Del Rio. She does a fine job of connecting with our customers, providing quotes or helping get quotes, helping facilitate a project and even customer servicing a job. And then orders and quote requests, those go to a general email. And once that's sent out, you have two people that will put that quote together. They'll send it to Marcia, and she'll forward that on to you. But that's all I got. This is basically the exact same page that you saw before, but it's the end screen. So if you have any questions, please.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
Hey, I see we have Kiki Rodriguez, who I believe is the Director of Customer Service for Haley. Wanted to see if maybe he had anything to add or anything to tell everyone on the call.
Sure.
If you want to unmute Kiki, I don't know if Justin has to do it or not, but.
Okay. I can unmute you. Kiki, you want to? No, he'll have to unmute himself. Kiki, you want to say anything?
He doesn't have a mic.
Oh, okay. No problem. Thanks, Jared. Kiki doesn't have a mic, but Kiki is great as far as explaining what the wood doors from Haley have to offer. He's been doing this for about 10 years just on the wood door side, with a lot more experience on the hardware side. He is great for training. He's great for customer service calls. And before we even set this thing up, he wanted to make sure that everyone knew that if there's anything that you need to know that Marcia or anyone at the Haley team doesn't have to provide for you guys, he's more than willing to help. You can give him a call, and I can provide you with his contact information if required. But Kiki is the guy that gets everything done. So if you have anything for him, let me know, and I can send it on to him, or I can send you his information so you can let him know. Anything else, Jonathan? Anything else from you?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all again for joining the Training Tuesday. I'll go to the screen this time. Thank you all so much for joining the Training Tuesday. It's very important for us, and I hope that with some of the things that we teach you guys or talk to you guys about, that it helps you on a daily basis as far as scheduling out hollow metal wood doors and hardware, and also just helps you talk to your customers, better understand what our marketplace is like. And please, if you have any questions, reach out to me after I finish this up. Please go to our YouTube page and like, comment, share, whatever you want. If you want to re-watch the video, which please God, I don't want to torture you that much, but if there's anyone that you want to share it with, please let me know. We can share that information with them. We can send you catalog cuts. We can send you samples. We can send you anything that you need to help you succeed. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank y'all.